On November 26, 1968, during the Vietnam War, 25-year-old First Lieutenant James P. Fleming was flying a UH-1F Huey back toward base after a long mission when a frantic distress call broke through the radio. A Special Forces recon team, 6 Green Berets, had been surrounded along a jungle riverbank. Enemy fighters were closing in from multiple sides, machine guns hammering the ground around them. They were nearly out of ammunition, dangerously exposed, and seconds away from being overrun. Fleming and the other Huey pilots turned immediately, despite running low on fuel. They raced toward the smoke signal rising through the trees. Air Force gunships dove in first, unleashing rockets and machine gun fire to help the trapped soldiers. 2 enemy weapons were destroyed, but moments later, one of the gunships was hit and crash-landed across the river. Another transport helicopter rushed in long enough to pull the downed crew out of danger, then had to withdraw, almost out of fuel. That left only Fleming's Huey and one nearly empty gunship to rescue the entire patrol. Flying low over the treetops, Fleming found a tiny clearing, too small to land. But retreat wasn't an option. Instead, he improvised. He maneuvered the Huey down to the riverbank, balancing the helicopter skids on mud while the tail hovered over open water. With enemy fire tearing through the air, he held himself steady, waiting for the Green Berets to sprint toward him. But the gunfire was too overwhelming. The team radioed, they wouldn't survive the run. Fleming pulled back, bullets cracking through the air around him. His fuel gauge was falling into the danger zone. Every instinct said to leave. He didn't. Some stories of courage spread quietly, passed from one person to another because they capture the human spirit in its purest form. Stories like this often find their home in places such as Evilvarium, where moments of raw bravery remind us what people are capable of when everything is on the line. The forward air controller overhead gave one final order. The trap team was to detonate their claymore mines. It would be the last opening they would get. As soon as the explosions shook the trees, Fleming turned the Huey around and dove back into the clearing, flying directly into the heaviest fire he had ever faced. The gunship beside him fired off its last rounds to provide cover. Fleming brought the Huey down to the exact same spot on the riverbank. Enemy bullets shattered the windshield and ripped into the fuselage as he hovered with perfect control. The Green Berets sprang from their hiding place the moment the claymores detonated. They sprinted through the smoke and gunfire, shooting as they ran. Fleming's crewmen, Sergeant Fred Cook and Sergeant Paul Johnson, leaned out of the aircraft, grabbing the soldiers and pulling them inside one by one. 3 enemy fighters fell just yards from the open door. When the last man dove inside, Fleming lifted the torn, bullet-scarred Huey out of the kill zone and raced down the river, coaxing the dying engine all the way to safety. 6 men survived that day because a young pilot refused to leave them behind. For his extraordinary courage, James P. Fleming received the Medal of Honor from President Richard Nixon on May 14, 1970. He continued his service, rising to the rank of colonel before retiring in 1996 after 3 decades in uniform. Today, Colonel Fleming is still with us, a living reminder of what bravery looks like when the stakes are life and death. If this story touched you, please show your support with a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to join our daily story community. This story is based on shared narrative elements for awareness and emotional impact. It is not intended to defame, accuse, or target any individual, community, or group. Any resemblance to real persons, living or missing, is purely coincidental. Reader discretion is advised, and the content should not be interpreted as verified fact.